My name is Rabba Sara Hurwitz, and I'm here first and foremost to say thank you to the Jewish Women's Fund of Atlanta for supporting Yeshivat Maharat for the past 2 years and dreaming with us to enhance our leadership program, and to thank the 3 phenomenal women who made this possible, Carol Cooper, Eileen Engel, and Sara Franco. I have heard that you too are groundbreaking women, and that is not simple work. I've been thinking about other women who are groundbreakers, like the prophetess Devorah HaNeviah, who's described as a fiery woman, the first female judge and teacher. The rabbinic scholars try to vilify her by calling her a hornet, a stinging bee, and yet she's remembered as a leader, mother, and fighter. And perhaps it's Devorah who paved the way for another groundbreaker, Regina Jonas, the first woman to become a rabbi in Berlin, Germany. She too was met with harsh criticism, and she was finally ordained in 1935 by Rax Dienemann. She spent time in Theresienstadt next to Primo Levi, and much of her story was lost as she perished in Auschwitz in 1945. And I could also tell you the stories of the first female rabbis in each denomination in America, my heroes, Rabbi Sally Priesand, Sandy Sasso, and Amy Alberg, each of whom crossed barriers to fulfill their dreams. All of these women are groundbreakers and trailblazers, overcoming adversity to change the course of history. So I started wondering, is there a common trait that drove these women? What is the key to overcome challenge after challenge to become a trailblazer? Renowned psychologist Angela Duckworth has written about trying to find the formula that helps people get ahead. After much research, she discovered that it's not IQ and intelligence or physical strength that drives us towards success. Rather, it is grit, passion, and persistence, having an eye on a goal and working really hard to get there. My own story to become the first female Orthodox rabbi is one of grit as well. I was born and raised in South Africa, in apartheid South Africa, and my parents took me out of that country to give me all the possibilities, to let me know that I can be and do whatever I dreamed of. I didn't know that I would be an Orthodox rabbi. This simply was not an option for me. However, a vocational test that I took before college showed that I was best suited for clergy. We laughed because what was I going to do with that information? So I pursued other things, but was always committed to building and enhancing the Jewish community. After learning for many years, I realized that I wanted to be part of making it better. And so I joined the Hebrew Institute of Riverdale, a large Orthodox synagogue run by Rabbi Avi Weiss at the time, as a congregational intern. And after being there for a year, we started dreaming about the possibility of what it would look like to be accepted as a full member of the rabbinic staff. Neither of us knew if it was possible, but I knew I would have to learn more and become seen as an authority on Jewish law in order to be seen as a rabbi. And so after 5 more years of learning, I took all of the relevant exams and tests that rabbis need, and I finished. And we held what we called a ordination ceremony in March 2009, where I was officially ordained by Rabbi Weiss and Rabbi Daniel Sperber. At that ceremony, other women came up to me and said, "How do I sign up? How do I pursue a career towards female clergy?" And so we opened up the first institution to ordain Orthodox women in September 2009, called Yeshivat Maharat. And just 9 years later, I'm so proud that today we have 19 graduates out in the field serving in Orthodox communities, in Hillels, in Jewish community centers. We have 28 more students coming through the pipeline, and over 40 communities have been impacted by our students. But it wasn't simple. There were very difficult days. I remember one day in my office, right after I was ordained with the title Rabba, somebody called me. I picked up the phone, and a man on the other end said, "You're destroying the Orthodox community." And he hung up. I was shocked. I didn't want to destroy anything. I wanted to build. I wanted to crawl under the covers and make it all go away. But I kept going because I also got letters from 11-year-old girls who said now they have a role model. They could see themselves as participants in the Orthodox community. They could see themselves as leaders in the Orthodox community. And this is how change occurs. It's a story of our first graduating class, each of whom have been hired and whose contracts have been extended and extended despite initial pushback. Now Their community looks at them and cannot imagine life without female and male rabbis in partnership together, leading the community. And so the modern woman must have grit, passion to fulfill her dream, perseverance, not giving up when the going gets tough. But there's one more ingredient. Duckworth notes that in addition to passion and perseverance, in order to succeed, you must have hope. You have to be an optimist. So I'll end with this Yiddish folktale called Here Comes Scotzel. And it's about how women began to resent that men seemed to own the world. Men got to read from the Torah and had all the interesting mitzvot and all privileges. So women decided to present their grievance directly to God, and they appointed Scotzel, a clever woman and a good speaker, as their representative. But how are they going to get the message to God? So they decided to make a human tower. Scotzel was to scale the tower and pull herself into heaven. And as they scrambled onto one another's shoulders and Scotzel began to climb, somebody shrugged or shifted and women tumbled every which way. When the commotion died down, Scotzel had disappeared. Men went on ruling the world and nothing changed, but still the women are hopeful. And that is why when a woman walks into the house, the other women say, "Ah, Scotzel kommt. Look, here comes Scotzel." And someday it may really be she. This is a quintessential story of hope. It's a story of where the highest and hardest ceiling has not quite yet been broken, but there are many cracks in the ceilings. When it comes to the limits put on Orthodox women, I know that I sometimes feel like I keep hitting my head against the cement ceiling. But to be a ceiling breaker, you need to keep climbing upwards. And the women in Scotzel's story too understood that. I have also stood on the shoulders of giants before me. But no matter how high they climbed, the women were not entirely successful. Men still rule the world. And that glass ceiling has not been cracked. And yet there's hope. Scotzel kommt. And so I want to suggest that we need a new model, not a vertical one where we're climbing over one another, but a horizontal one where we walk arm in arm all together and seek partnerships to help create a new way of being, where men and women together build a community that expands the communal walls to make sure that women's voices, scholarship, and contributions is on equal footing with one another. We don't have to climb over one another, where not one person, Scotzel in this case, is sacrificed. Orthodox women's equality is a community-wide issue. We need everyone's input and buy-in, everybody's creativity to change the status quo, not only in the Orthodox community, but so that women don't make less on the dollar. Women are not sexualized. Women have equal opportunity for upward mobility in politics, in business, and in law. If we work together, then perhaps we can shatter the entire building. And so I hope and dream. I'm very proud of what we've built so far, and I'm so grateful to all of you here and to the Jewish Women's Fund of Atlanta for dreaming with us and for supporting us. And I know that you are helping shape our next generation of communal leaders, supporting a better Jewish future. And with a healthy dose of grit, passion, and perseverance, with all of our collective courage, I'm hopeful that together we can break open these walls and change the world. Thank you.